everybody, and welcome to the channel. My name is Krabby Terror 8, and I'm delighted to bring the next chapter in the Investigator Games using the Gathering scenario in the Night of the Zealot campaign. As I said, my name is Krabby Terror 8. I want to thank everybody who has been watching and commenting and liking and following me so far. I really do appreciate it. I really have a ton of fun doing this, so I appreciate that people are playing along and following along with me as we go. The reason we call it the Investigator Games, just for those who may not be familiar with what I've been doing over the last few weeks, essentially we take a scenario like the Gathering and we throw each investigator into that scenario, in this case with their starter decks, and see how they all go, and then we put them in a league table and we see who is the winning investigator by the end. So this week it's the turn of Wendy Adams to have a go at the Gathering, and we'll see how she goes. A couple of things before we start though. Spoilers, if you are new to the game, if you've not played Arkham Horror the card game very much, your first time to Arkham Horror the card game, you haven't played the Gathering, I strongly recommend that you go and look at other Let's Plays or other introductions to the game. I'm assuming that the people who are watching this, because of the way I'm doing it and also the way I talk about the cards, I'm assuming people already know this scenario really very well. So I really would recommend that if you aren't familiar, that you watch. There's plenty of other excellent Let's Plays and introductions that you could watch. The other thing is I'm also doing this using Octagon. I have had a couple of people ask me about that. Someone asked me whether I could do a video on how to use Octagon. In the notes that accompany this video, there's actually a link to a really excellent introduction on how to set it up and how to play it. If I did a video, I'd be essentially following that. So I would recommend that anybody who wants to use Octagon, and it's great for Arkham Horror the card game, click on that link and literally just follow it step by step. That's what I did. Once you've gone through it step by step, it's really easy to use, so I would recommend that. Okay, so a couple of other things. Someone commented about the Ghoul Priest artwork. I thought he would set his ass on fire. Someone, Adrian, in the comments, thank you Adrian, said no, the Ghoul Priest probably was setting his farts alight, was his interpretation, and that makes sense. I've spoken to the Ghoul Priest a number of times. In the green room, he's a bit of a jokester. I mean, he comes across as, in the scenario, is pretty nasty, but actually, in the green room and outside the scenario, he's a bit of a jokester. He's a prankster. So, bucket of water over the door kind of thing. Whoopee cushions, that kind of stuff. That's the Ghoul Priest, or Ghoulie as we call him. So he's a bit of a jokester, a bit of a prankster. So that's probably right. He's probably lighting one of his farts, because that's fun, but also you can imagine if you're the Ghoul Priest just kind of tearing through the wall to basically take out these hapless investigators. If you can light your fart sort of for added effect, it's just that much more terrifying, even though it's funny at the same time. So I can really see why he would do that. So yeah, shout out to Ghoulie and his pranks. He's quite funny. Lita, on the other hand, isn't such a funster. She's pretty cranky and angry most of the time because she sits in the parlor for most scenarios and it doesn't come out a lot. So that gets her a bit cranky, and she gets a bit bored. So we'll see, because here we are with Wendy Adams, Survivor, and Urchin to do this scenario. I had a chat to Wendy in the green room before we started. Now, I have to say that actually it wasn't really much of a chat, because Wendy was actually hoeing into all of the hors d'oeuvres and the cucumber sandwiches and other foods that are put into the green room. Really, she was She was just eating so much that she didn't really have much time to talk, and when she did talk, it was very difficult to understand what she was saying because she had a mouthful of food. So I didn't really get much feedback from her, except once she'd finished eating, there was some laughter, and then she ran off and hid somewhere, and then I couldn't find her. So I really don't know what she thinks about this scenario, to be honest. I'm assuming that she wants to do better than Roland. Well, everybody wants to do better than Roland because he's still top of the deck. And just on that point, if you want to see what the league table is looking like, I put it in at the end of the each video, so you can see how everybody's performing based on experience points, how quickly they finish the scenario. And so each time we do a new investigator, they get added to that. So I didn't get much from Wendy Adams. The Ghoul Priest, I had a chat to him. Shook his hand, he had one of those buzzers. Such a jokester. But he was a bit annoyed last week because he got taken out by Skids. So he was annoyed about that. He's ready to bring the pain to Wendy this week. And I spoke to Lita, who's very annoyed because literally nobody has engaged her. I have a feeling though that Wendy may do that. Wendy is not the world's best fighter, so I'm assuming that she will probably attempt to get into the parlor and get Lita Chandler on side. At least that's what Lita is hoping. So here we are with Wendy Adams. She's going to start in a second, but just a couple of things. Wendy is she's an urchin, but she's a survivor. So it really is about, again, a bit like the rogue class. The survivor class is really about kind of wits and having lots of different solutions to problems. Wendy is especially good at this. She's not a fighter, let's face it, but she has all kinds of ways of tipping things in her favor and getting around having a very, very, very low fight score. I'd have to say in this case that it's going to be really unlikely that she's going to go head-to-head with the Ghoul Priest with one fight. She may use her fight to kind of finish things off, but really, I think from my perspective, it's going to be a Lita Chandler face-off, perhaps, and using evasion and backstab and those sorts of things to get over the line, because head-to-head fight is not going to work. And on that, just in terms of the starter deck, again, these starter decks are okay, but they're not ideal. So I'll just cover off a couple of things which are in the starter deck. First of all, this is the random weakness that I drew. Haunted. You get -1 for each of your skills and then discard Haunted. So it's not the world's worst basic weakness, but for someone with a 1 fight, things like that, you don't want this hanging around. So if this comes out, we are going to be taking the 2 turns to get rid of this because it's not something that we want. Now there are indeed some weaponry in Wendy's deck, things like the baseball bat, which quite frankly, if I was optimizing this deck, I wouldn't be using the baseball bat. I would have the fire axe. The fire axe is really sort of standard, I would say, probably in a lot of survivor decks these days. The baseball bat is okay, but the problem is it can break and it takes 2 hand slots, so it's not the world's most ideal piece. So we do have a couple of weapons like that, and the Derringer and the Switchblade, but to be honest, they're all pretty crappy weapons. So yeah, I think they're really kind of a finisher when we really, really have to use them. But we've got lots of great survivor cards like Rabbit's Foot, which is fantastic, Lucky, which is also great, and things like, using Cunning Distraction, Survival Instinct for evasion. So lots of cards like that in the deck. And of course, the one card that can really tip a game, which I'm hoping that we would get in our opening hand, and I will be mulliganing like crazy to get it, is Leo DeLuca. Because if we can get Leo DeLuca out at the start, then things will be pretty good. Hard Knocks and Dig Deep. The problem with these cards is if you're not in a in a rogue type of deck where you're generating lots of, I mean, there are some ways of generating revenue in this one, but the problem is these cards on paper look great, but unless you've got 2 to spend on them and then more assets on top of that, they can just sit in your hand and you end up using them for the pips instead. Yes. The other thing that we really will need to get, not at the beginning, is of course the flashlight. Whilst, you know, our intelligence isn't terrible at 3, if we're going to get the victory point, if we're going to get that clue down in the cellar, we're going to need the flashlight to do that. So that's something which we will need to get. Otherwise, we're going to spend a lot of time in the cellar. And that won't be great either. Okay, so lots of cards, very versatile deck. Lots of different ways to deal with things, but the biggest issue will be without Lita. I think we will struggle at the end to take out the Ghoul Priest. So I think that is something we're going to want to try to do when we get there, but parling with her might be a little bit challenging. So anyway, let's see how we go. I'm going to close and shuffle this deck. We've closed and shuffled the deck. We are on turn 1, the investigation phase. This is so exciting. Come on, Wendy, we're really going to do this. I'm so excited. Okay, so first of all, I've got her 3 actions on there. I flipped the study already. We've got the 2 clues. I've put it out with the other cards. I do this just to save time, so you don't have to watch me putting out the cards after the act deck flips over. But we need to remember that actually, in reality, the other parts of the house don't currently exist. So if we get a ghoul that's supposed to spawn in the attic or the cellar, need to remember if we're still in the study, then it will go to the discard in that way. So let me just make sure I've shuffled everything. We shuffle our deck. Let's go here and we'll shuffle the encounter deck, and indeed we'll even shuffle the chaos bag. So everything's shuffled. We are on turn 1, the investigation phase. So I'll just set up the scenario with the agenda and the act, and then we can kick off with Wendy. So what's going on? It's late at night and you're holed up in your study. This is a bit weird because Wendy's supposed to be a street type urchin. The fact that she owns a house, and it's her house, your study, just doesn't kind of fit. But, you know, I suppose maybe, I don't know, she's maybe just house sitting, or maybe she's, you know, she's broken in and she's just staying there. And your study is in inverted commas because it's not technically our study. Anyway, she's researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from your parlour down the hall. I think your again is in inverted commas. Yes, and at the same time you hear dirt churning as if something were digging beneath the floor. That's the agenda. Trapped. As you leap to investigate, and like skids, we've got a 4 agility, so I think leaping would be leaping so high we'd almost hit the ceiling. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes. Before your eyes what? Think of that before. It suddenly vanishes before your eyes blink, before your eyes fall out of your head. Anyway, leaving behind only solid wall. As opposed to in solid wall, or you know, well decorated wall. I think we can be pretty safe to assume, although maybe not in this game, that walls tend to be solid. Anyway, you're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. Yes, there we are. So Wendy is trapped in the study, or somebody's study anyway. She's got her 3 actions. We are here in the investigation phase, and we're here with the clues. The thing I like about the gathering is that at the very beginning, it's pretty. You don't have much to do, really. It's pretty clear what you've got to do. It starts you with a very, very sort of single-minded thing, which is get the clues. But before we do all of that, I think we better get some cards, because at the moment we actually have no cards out, and without cards we're not going anywhere. So let's draw our 5 cards. Leo DeLuca, you better be better. Here we go. First card, scavenging. Okay. Second card, pickpocketing. Yeah, all right. Third card, yeah, elusive. Nice card to have. Not right now, maybe. Fourth card, lucky. Great card. Love this card. And fifth card is backstab. Now, some of these cards are great, but I'm really going to be very, very, very super duper duper hardcore here with my mulligan, because I really want to try to get Leo DeLuca. So I think I'm going to take all of them out. I mean, I like them all, but I want Leo DeLuca. So let's draw another 5. 1. There he is, Leo, the Lion of Louisiana. Is he a Lion of Louisiana? Yes, the Louisiana Lion. Oh, yes. Okay. Leo's here. First one. Second is the leather coat. Nice, stylish, but also helpful. Third is overpower. Good, if we need to bash something. Fourth is hard knocks. Yeah, okay. And fifth is survival instinct. If this skill test is successful during an evasion attempt, the evading investigator may immediately disengage from each other enemy engaged with him or her and may move to a connecting location. So, nice card. A little bit like elusive, but also different, but a nice card to have nonetheless. So that's not a bad set of cards. Let's take these cards and drop them back in. Shuffle. There we go. So we've got our 5 cards. We've got Leo DeLuca in play. He will be the first thing that we do. However, he is a massive 6 resources. So our first action will be to get another resource. So the resource, we have the 6 resources. Our second action will be to spend them. So we spend all our cash, bring out Leo. So that's brilliant, because now we get an extra turn. So that means we actually have now 2 turns here. Yeah. And also he can soak up some damage and things. So that, you know, that helps on 2 levels. So that's great, because that makes such a difference. Immediately we've got 1 extra go. So now we've got 2 turns to investigate. And that's the one thing that would have been nice to have, that we don't kind of absolutely need it right now, but we will need to get a flashlight. So some weaponry and some flashlights are going to be good. But the other thing is we've got literally no resources. Classic survivor place, we've got nothing. So we're going to have to build up our resources if we're going to pay for anything anyway. We could bring out the leather coat this turn, so we could do that, but I'm inclined to keep that for next turn and see if we can pick up these 2 clues, because I think speed is of the essence for Wendy. The quicker we can get things done, the better. So let's spend 2 goes investigating. We're not going to pitch any. I don't think I have anything to pitch. I've got lots of fights and evades, but I've got no intellect pips at all. So we're really going 3 versus 2. And we're going to have a couple of goes at that and see whether the gods of the chaos bag will smile down on Wendy. But I'm pretty happy with how things are going so far. So the next action is chaos bag in terms of 3 versus 2. So on -1 or better. Chaos bag says -4. Nope. Okay, let's try again. -2, -1 or better. Chaos bag says -3. No, so neither of those worked. That's okay. It would have been an amazing start if we succeeded. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem with Wendy. Now the other thing is, with that -3, I've just realized I could actually, because it's here, when you reveal it, choose, I can discard a card from my hand and do that. So I might actually do that for that final one. I'm actually going to discard hard knocks, because don't think I'm going to use it that much. So I'm going to discard Hard Knocks, and I'm going to, as it says here, reveal a new Chaos token. Let's see how we go. +1, there we go. Wow. So that was quite an opening salvo from Wendy. She might not talk very much and eat a lot, but, you know, that was a lot of action. So we hard mulliganed. We got a resource, extra resource. Then we paid a ton of resources for Leo DeLuca, which gave us an extra turn, which meant we had 2 turns left. We then investigated and failed. We investigated and failed a second time, but we discarded a card and drew another from the Chaos bag. And that allowed us to, and you can only do that once per test or ability, so you can't do that multiple times when you're doing a test. And we succeeded with a +1, which meant that we got a clue. So we got a lot done in the first investigation phase. So I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll move on to the enemy phase, or the Enema Phase as I call it. And there are no enemas to speak of at the moment, so that's a very short phase. We can move directly onto the Upkeep Phase. So we got a clue, but we also got our weakness. And you know what? If we're going to get our weakness, let's get it early. So weakness, Revelation, take 2 direct horror and remove all cards in your discard pile from the game. Yep. All right. So yes, they're removed from the game. So that's these 3. So what I'm going to do, no, these 2. I'm going to put them over here because actually I don't know in Octagon whether you can, because if you delete, they just go into the discard pile. I'm going to put them over here. Whoops. I'm going to just going to put them over here, just down here. So that they don't get used. They're just sitting over there. We take 2 direct horror. Yeah, just look at that card again, make sure I've covered everything. Take 2 direct horror, remove all cards in your discard pile from the game. It was great to get it early. The 2 direct horror are fine. I mean, there's me and Leo, so we're fine in terms of horror, but I don't have much of a discard pile. The only thing I have is a Hard Knock. So if you're going to get that card, now is a good time to get it. The pain of it is that's, you know, one of the things Wendy needs is cards, because she wants to discard cards to do other Chaos bag draws. So it's a pain because that's a card we don't have that we can throw out if we need to succeed. But anyway, that's okay. It's good to get, if you're going to have weaknesses come out, and they will come out, better to have them earlier in the game than, you know, you're facing down the Ghoul Priest and you get the weakness then, which would be the worst time. So there we go. There's the first Upkeep Phase. Let's move on to the first Mythos Phase. Everybody's favourite phase. Mythos Phase, 1 Doom. I've still got a couple of goes before that flips. And it's time for our first Chaos bag. Now, I realised without thinking that I've taken a massive risk here, because I've realised, and I forgot about this, and it happens sometimes, I probably would have been better bringing out the leather coat. And the reason is because if I draw Crypt Chill, Leo DeLuca is gone. So this is one of the things I always try to remember to do, is to make sure I have at least 2 assets on the table, preferably an asset I care less about, so that in the circumstance where we draw Crypt Chill, we don't lose one of our most important assets. I forgot about that, and so if we draw Crypt Chill, that's my bad, and that's just too bad. So let's hope that we don't draw Crypt Chill, and we don't draw Crypt Chill, we draw a Ravenous Ghoul. Which is not as bad as Crypt Chill, but Ravenous Ghoul isn't great either. I'm really not a big fan of Ravenous Ghoul. principally because you don't get any victory points for him. He's quite tough to kill. And so for all of those reasons, not great. Anyway, that's who we have. So we're just going to have to deal with the good old Ravenous Ghoul. So Ghoul, it's Ghoul Central here for us. So the important thing is it's now our turn. Should have just move it to our turn. So it's Investigation Phase, 4 actions. So we have 4 actions. So what do we want to achieve in this Investigation Phase? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, we do want to, I think at the moment with no weapons, with 3, we would have to hit the Ravenous Ghoul 3 times. We'd have to beat him 3 times, 3 against 1. That's not going to happen. So what we need to do is evade the Ravenous Ghoul. Wendy's always best at evasion. And once we've evaded the Ravenous Ghoul, we need to get out a leather coat so that we, in case Crypt Chill comes along, and we need to get this final clue. So that's the plan. I've only got 3 cards, so we're a little bit short on cards in terms of being able to pitch cards out. So I think it's just a case of 4 versus 3. I don't really want to make it. Yeah. Well, there is no connecting location, so this would be just using it for its evasion. I don't want to have to use that unless I absolutely have to, so I'm going to try and just see how we go with just a straight up 4 versus 3 evasion. So that's the first thing we're going to do. 4 versus 3 evasion. Chaos Bag says, oh, yes. Chaos Bag says yes. So Wendy, the consummate hider, manages to evade the Ravenous Ghoul as a first point. That's brilliant. Okay, good. Second thing we're going to do, so that we don't get Leo DeLuca doesn't get Crypt Chilled, is bring out the nice warm leather coat, which just gives us a bit of extra defense as well. So we've got lots of health defense in particular. So that's our second go. For our third turn, we'll look to investigate. So for our third turn, it's a 2 versus a 3. So a -1 or better. Again, we don't have anything we can pitch to this. So Chaos Bag says absolutely not. So we have a choice here. We could throw away our Overpower or our other one. So we could throw away another card and have another go. I think I'm just going to see whether we can get it this time. Chaos Bag says, ah yes, the good old -X, where -X is the number of ghoul enemies. So that's a -1, which is 3 versus 2. So we gain the clue. This is great. So we have the clues, which is fantastic because now we can indeed spend the clues. So this is the end of our turn. We spend the clues, which flips this. And this is great because what happens is that this enemy is now gone. Goodbye. Study is gone. Put the study over here as well. We are now in the hallway. Hallway flips. There is no clues in the hallway. What else do we do? I should read this out. I'm sorry. I should read this out. You notice that the edges of your newly purchased rug. See again, Wendy purchased rug. I think the owner's newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see a door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob, and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump through, landing on your feet on the soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut above you. That is kind of weird because I'm assuming it's kind of in the roof there, so it's slamming shut against gravity. Anyway, I guess Newtonian and physics or Einsteinian physics, or maybe Einsteinian physics does apply and Newtonian physics doesn't or something. But anyway, the smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. I think if I was in a punk band in the 80s, I would have called it Scent of Rot and Decay. Maybe there was one. Anyway, so we put in the hallway, the cellar, the attic, and the parlor. The study goes. We go into the hallway. Study has gone from the game, and the enemies have gone as well. So that's nice. So we're now here at the barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlor. As you move towards it, intense heat forces you back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. I'm not sure why dirt incinerating is so horrible, but anyway, perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic which can help. Big hint. When the round ends, investigators in the hallway as a group spend a requisite number of clues to advance. That's what we want to do. So that's the end of our turn. Great turn. So we evaded the ghoul. We then proceeded to bring out the nice comfy and warm leather coat. We then failed to investigate a clue, and then we succeeded, which meant that we jumped out of the study. The ghoul is dead and gone. And we're here in the hallway. So that's all good. We're a bit short on cards now. Could do with getting a few more cards in our hand. But the next plan in the next turn was obviously to head up to the attic, get those clues which are relatively easy. Hopefully then we'll pick up a flashlight, because with a 4 shroud and a 3 intellect, we're going to struggle in the cellar without something like that. So we do need that. Or some cards with intellect pips at the very least. So, but pretty good so far for turn 2. We're moving ahead a pace. So that's our turn. So we're now into the Enema Phase. No enemas to speak of. The enemy got incinerated along with the study. So all gone, all good. So we can move straight into the Upkeep Phase, and we get the baseball bat. Nice baseball bat. 2 hand slots, which is fine, but also not fine, because this is why the baseball bat is such a pain in the backside. Excuse the pun, baseball bat, pain in the backside. But anyway, it's 2-handed. So the problem is you can't rock the baseball bat and rock a flashlight at the same time. So it's a kind of a pain from that perspective. I mean, and then you've got this decision, because if I bring out the baseball bat now, I might need it because, you know, some nasty ghoul's gonna front up. But then if I bring out now, no ghouls front up, and then I get the flashlight, then it's kind of wasted. However, if we have scavenging, then it's not so terrible. So, but we don't have scavenging. So that's one of the things about these sorts of survival and rogue decks. They can be very flexible, but also can lead to lots of difficult decisions about exactly how you're going to play things through. Whereas with a Roland, for example, it's much more straightforward. You're just sort of bringing out weapons and just smashing and bashing everything. So, but for me, that's kind of less interesting. I do like the idea of having to make these choices. But anyway, we've got the baseball bat, which is not a terrible choice, but that's where we are. We've now got 2 resources, which is nice. We've got a bit more resource now, so we can move forward to the next phase, which is the Mythos Phase. So now this is the witching hour, final round before it flips, unless of course we get a card that flips it before. So here we are. It's not flipped yet. Let's see what the old encounter deck has for us. And the old encounter deck has, oh, here we go, another ghoul. There we go. We were just talking about the baseball bat, so we've got another ghoul. Well, I can tell you right now, that we won't be burying our fists or baseball bats into this head of this ghoul at this stage. I think the easiest thing to do is just to evade him and move on. At the moment, he's not a hunter. There's no massive benefit in hanging around trying to kill him, so we'll just let him be for the moment. And then maybe when we're in the attic, we bring out the baseball bat, then we can go and bash him around the head a bit. So there we go. It really is Ghoul Central. So we've had no Crypt Chills, no Rotting Remains, no Grasping Hands. It's all been Ghoul, Ghoul, Ghoul. It's a Ghoul Fest. So that is the end of the Mythos Phase. So here we are, back at the Investigation Phase, and I forgot to put the actions on Wendy. Yeah, we've got 4 actions. We're here in the hallway, and there is this lovely ghoul standing here. I don't know what's behind him. It looks like there's stars. Looks like he's on a fridge, and the Star Spangled Banner is sort of behind the fridge. Is that right? Am I looking at that right? It looks like he's hanging off like a bar fridge, and behind the bar fridge is like, kind of looks like a flag. Don't know. Hard to tell. Anyway, so nothing like an enemy to focus the mind. So we have 2 choices here. We can bash the enemy, we can hit him, and we do have overpower to do that. But the problem is that's going to take us 2 goes. We'd have to succeed twice to do that. So the easiest thing to do is go 2 versus 4 and avoid. It's a new term here in Arkham Horror, the card game. Evade the ghoul minion. So for our first action, that's what we're going to do. -2 or better from the Chaos Bag. Chaos Bag says yes. Ghoul minion's like, oh, where's she gone? She's a master avoider and evader. So we've evaded the Ghoul Priest. Our second turn is to take a little trip up to the attic. La-di-da-di-da. Up to the attic. Lovely. Let's flip the attic. 2 clues. The attic as I said, is a Gourmand's delight of rotting flesh, which means we take a horror. I think Leo is going to take this horror. Leo is going to take the horror here. So we're here in the attic. So it's got a 1 shroud. We've got a 3 intellect. So this is just going to be a straight up search. I am really hoping we can be super fast and we can get both in this turn. Let's see how we go. I'm not going to pitch. We haven't got anything to pitch. We could throw a card. I don't want to, though. I really want to build up some cards. So if we don't get 2 of them this turn, then so be it. I'd rather wait. Let's see how we go. So it's a 1 versus a 3. So a -2 or better. First clue is -1, which is a success. So we get a clue. Woohoo! And here's our final one. 1 versus 3. -2 or better. Chaos token. Yeah, we've done it. Okay. So there we go. Fantastic. We got all of the clues, which means I'm just going to put a damage on here, and just the damage is there just to say we've got this victory point. So Hunger Games, Investigator Games, the crowd just goes wild as Wendy achieves her first victory point. Crowd is going wild. You can imagine the commentators in the commentator box. And there we are, Stan. Wendy has her first victory point. Things are looking very good at this stage. But will she get the ones in the cellar? I know, Mike. That's what everybody's asking at this moment. Quite an impressive start from the street urchin, Wendy Adams. So you can see the crowd is going wild. This is a good start. She might even beat Roland at his own game. We will see. So there we are. That was our final action. So all good. Very happy. So things have been pretty good with Wendy so far. We've been avoiding ghouls. Ghouls have been dying we're crypt chill proof. We've got a baseball bat should we need it. So I really need a flashlight. So we might end up staying here longer drawing more cards, because without a way to deal with a Shroud of 4, we're not going to get very far, because I don't want to pitch like +1 or better. That's just a little bit difficult. So anyway, so that's our plan now. So let's move forward. Enemy phase. Nope. No, enemies. The ghoul minion is still searching around, trying to find us behind the bar fridge in the hallway. You think the bar fridge would be in the parlour, but anyway, it's not our house, so what would we know? And then we move on to the upkeep phase. Oh, look at that. So he's back going, ooh, where are they? Where's she gone? Oh dear. And we get a unexpected courage, which is a nice card, because you can use it for anything basically. With 2 wildcard pips. So we could, if we had to, we could use that in the cellar if we really, really needed to. We've got 3 resources, so we're building up resources, which is nice. It would be great to get a flashlight though, but who knows, the flashlights could be right at the bottom. I don't even know if there is 2 flashlights in this deck. For all I know, there's 1. That'd be right. But anyway, so let's move on to turn 4. And the Mythos phase. So here we go. It goes red because, apologies for the dog barking. There's always dogs, birds, parrots, something around here making noise. So I do apologize for that. Okay, so let's flip this. See what it says. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. I think your not the occupant's house might be it. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It is almost as if you've been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. Elements of your former home? Oh yes, what? The girl's home that you ran away, or you ran away from, or whatever. Isn't that her story? She was in a sort of an orphan's home or something. Am I right? Anyway. The lead investigator must decide. Either each investigator discards 1 card at random, or takes 2 horror. Oh, God, that is super tough, because we're already on 5, so it would mean taking 2 more horror, which means we're basically on 3 horror, or discarding 1 of our cards at random. Because I don't really want to lose any of these cards. These cards, we've only got 4 of them. I think I'm going to go, I know it's risky, but I'm going to go with the 2 horror. I'm going to go with the 2 horror. I know that it brings us down to essentially 3 horror. And I know we don't have first aid in here, but I don't want to lose any more cards. So unfortunately that's what I'm going to do. And we can't afford to take any more horror. There's no reason why we should. And then, of course, if we can get Lita Chandler on board, then she can start soaking up. So here we are. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes. I don't know, shapes and silhouettes. Aren't shapes silhouettes? Not sure. Strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be there when they do. I think that's a big hint. You want to be out of here by then. Okay, we've got to get 3 clues. We've got 2. We're just going to get the other ones. So there we go. All right, let's draw an encounter card. Encounter card is, yes, Ancient Evils. So that just puts a doom. So that's let's move things forward a little bit, because that puts a doom on there. It doesn't cause the current agenda to advance. Okay, so there we go. All right, Is that going into the? Yes, it is. That's fine. Okay. All right. So that means we've got even less time, but that's okay. It's pretty good. So we've got a couple of choices here. We've got to make some decisions. We have to get to the cellar, which is going to take us. Let me just put these actions on Wendy. We've got to get to the cellar first of all. That's going to take us 2 actions. There's also our friend here, the ghoul minion. So we would need to evade him to get there in the process. So that's something else that we need to do. So we've got a couple of choices. We can either make the move now, or we can stay in the attic, which is now sort of cleared out, and just spend a turn drawing more cards before we make the move. Or we can get down to the cellar and do it from there. Which do we want to do? I mean, it's much of muchness, I suppose, whether we move or not. The benefit of staying in the attic is if the ghoul that spawns in the attic comes along and we manage to defeat it, then we would get the extra. We'd get the extra victory points for that. So, whereas if we're in the cellar, then we probably wouldn't move back to the attic. So I'm probably inclined at this stage to just spend a turn, or at least some of a turn, drawing some more cards, because we really do need. We've got unexpected courage, which we could use in the cellar. So I could move down, throw in the unexpected courage. That would give us a 5 versus a 4. But then I suppose then we could move forward. But we're feeling like we should spend a go just consolidating. So that's what I'd like to do. So for my first action, I'm going to draw a card. And we get Scavenging, which is a great card, because if we have Scavenging out, then that means that we can essentially, we can get items back, like the baseball bat. I think. Item card. Yes, so we can get the baseball bat back. We can get the armor back. Can't get Leo DeLuca back, but we can do that. So that's a really, really handy. At the moment, we don't have anything in there. So, and it's an intellect pip, so we can use it for that as well. So that's a nice card to get. Our second turn, we're going to draw another. And we get Backstab. Great card. Yeah, good. Okay. Third turn, we get the Rabbit's Foot. Fantastic card to get. Okay, really, really great. Fail a skill test, draw a card. What more could you want? So, in fact, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to spend 1 for my final turn and bring out the Rabbit's Foot. So now we have the Rabbit's Foot out, which is great. So we've wasted a whole go drawing cards, but I think that was really handy. However, having said that, we are still not in a really great position to investigate the cellar, but I think we're going to have to go down there and like pitch in Scavenging and Unexpected Courage or something. It would be good to have a lucky or something, so that, you know, we've at least got a chance of getting that in that way, getting the one clue that we need to proceed. So, but I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I just spent a bit of time consolidating, because, you know, we've got, you know, we need to be well armed. We're already at 4 horror, and I'm just a bit worried that if we didn't have more in our hand, we would find ourselves in a world of trouble and in a world of pain. The other thing is, we might need some of these cards to parley with Lita Chandler. Yeah, because she's going to need a parley of 3 versus. We're going to need some cards like that to make sure that we get her on board, because I think without her we're going to struggle a little bit. So I'm happy we did that. It took a go, but we've now got some kick-ass cards. We've got backstab and all kinds of things. So let's move forward after that into the we just did the investigation phase. So let's move into the enemy phase. Yeah, the ghoul priest is like, ghoul minion's like, where did she go? Oh dear. So he's still hanging around the bar fridge. Upkeep phase, we get we got the flashlight. Yes. Okay, we got the flashlight. Good. Okay. Now we are cooking with gas. Yes, not the ghoul priest gas. So good. Okay. We've got 3 resources. We've got resources that we can use. We've got the flashlight. We've got lots of good cards. We haven't got 8 yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 7 cards. We're in a great position. Let's go with the next. What's next? So that was that. Turn 5. Mythos Phase. 2, 5 to go. All good. And we get from the encounter deck. My goodness, it's just a ghoul fest, isn't it? We get another ghoul. Hello, have you seen my brother? Yeah, so we got another ghoul minion. Oh, I didn't put 4 actions on, Wendy. It's fine. So we got another ghoul. Like, how many ghoul? Like, where are the rotting remains? Where are the crypt chills? Nowhere to be seen. That's all right. Okay, that's fine. We can deal with these pissy ghoul minions anyway. Okay, let's move on to the investigation phase. We've got 4 actions. First thing we're going to do is just evade. Evade the ghoul minion. 2 versus 4, -2 or better. Chaos bag says -1. Where's she gone? So evasion. So that was a. Oh, didn't want it to do that. Just make that a little. What? Anyway, didn't know it was going to. That sort of Anyway, so that was our first action. It sort of made it a bit smaller. It was a bit annoying. I like the size of it, but I don't want to mess with the table. Our second action is to move to the hallway where the ghoul minion leaps from the bar fridge. Did they have bar fridges in the 1920s? Leaps from the bar ice, what they call ice chests. Yeah. So another evasion. 2 versus 4. Chaos bag says, oh, +0. If Wendy's amulet is in play, you automatically succeed. Well, okay, so that was our. So we hold on. We evaded. That was the first turn. Then we moved. Then we evaded again. And then for our third turn, for our fourth turn, I'm sorry, we get to the cellar. Let's flip the cellar. 2 clues. Yep. After you enter the cellar, take 1 damage. Ouch! Stubbed our toe on the way down. Take a damage. Here we go. So, here we are in the cellar. Now Wendy is just like, no wonder I couldn't speak to her in the green room. She's just a master hider, an evader. So what did we do? We evaded, first go. Then we moved out of the attic into the hallway. Then we evaded again, and then we moved into the cellar. So we are now in the cellar. We are ready to start investigating the cellar the next turn. And hopefully, fingers crossed, all going well. Then we'll need to set ourselves up, because what we don't want is the ghoul priest turning up with the ghoul minion. So we're going to have to deal with the ghoul minion rather than just evade him, ideally. But that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. we're in a good place. Happy with that. Let's move forward to the enemy phase. The Enema Phase, there are no enemas. The enemas are looking around, looking behind the bar ice boxes, whatever they were. Can't find Wendy. Wendy's evaded them again. Move into the Upkeep Phase. Oh, they're back. Hello. So they're both back there. We have 4. Did I pay for Rabbit's Foot? Did I pay? Did I bring out Rabbit's Foot? I didn't, did I? Oh yes, removes one. Oh, I love this. You know, I would forget. Yes, removes 1 resource. Yep. This feels like I've got so much cash, but I haven't been spending it. That's why. Very frugal, Wendy. Always putting things away for a rainy day. So we draw pickpocketing. Yeah. Okay. So that could be handy for evasion and things. I don't know whether I could bring it out. Could have it out there. It's another way of drawing a card. Card drawing is good. So yeah. Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're at our 8 card limit. That's fine. Okay, let's move forward with. It'd be nice to get, even though I don't like them very much, the knife or something. But anyway, we've got a baseball bat, I guess. Okay, let's move to the Mythos Phase. There are now 3, nearly halfway. Let's see what the encounter deck says. Yes, it was only a matter of time. Grasping Hands, great. I'm glad it's not Rotting Remains, because I've just realised if it was Rotting Remains, that would be really bad. Because if we failed Rotting Remains, we would have to lose Leo, or we would be going insane. So Grasping Hands is the better of the two, so I'm happy about that. It's a test 3. For each point you fail by, you take a damage. So we are 4. So do we pitch one of our cards in, like pickpocketing, into the mix? I'm probably thinking yes, I will. Yes, because I don't feel like we now really need lots of cards. So we are a 5 versus a 3. -2 or better. Chaos Bag says +1. Didn't need to do that anyway. That's all right. We succeed. So there we go. All good. Here we are. Let's put 4 actions on Wendy. Oh, that's failing. Yeah. Okay. So what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Our main thing now is, can we get these 2 clues? Because if we get these 2 clues, we are well on our way to doing as well as Roland. So this is a 4 shroud though. So nasty. So the first thing that we have to do is spend 2 and bring out the old flashlight. So that's using up a hand slot, which is fine, but that means we can't bring out the baseball bat at the moment. This gets 3 supplies. Apologise for the dog barking in the background. It's not my dog. My dog has stopped barking, so I do apologise if you can hear this dog in the background. There's lots of dogs around here and they bark a lot. So, okay, so that's our first action. I think the focus here now is, let's see how we do with getting these clues. We've got three resources and 3 actions left. What I'd like to do is monster these clues. If we fail, we can exhaust this and draw a card, which is also nice. So even if we fail, we're winning. Even when we're winning, even when we're losing, we're winning. You know, that kind of thing. Okay, so next action, second action, is to use the flashlight, which reduces this to a shroud of 2. We are an intellect of 3, so that is a -1 or better. Let's go with it. Chaos Bag says -3. Ooh, youch. No. Okay. Let's do it again. Spend a resource on the flashlight. -1 or better. Chaos bag says 0. Yes. We get it. So we've got our 3 clues. So what the hell? Let's spend the final on the flashlight. Flashlight is used up. -1 or better. This is our final action. -1 or better. Chaos bag says -4. Ooh! So we have a choice here. We could pitch something in and try again, or we could let it go. Oh, hold on. Oh yeah, we could pitch something in, draw a card, or we could... I mean, scavenging is good. You have to investigate, you have to successfully investigate by 2 or more, then you get an item. So it's very situational. So I'm going to throw this in. I'm going to throw in this card and we're going to draw again, like we can with Wendy. Reveal it, choose it. If you reveal a chaos token, choose and discard 1 card from your hand, cancel that and draw a new one. Chaos bag says -1. But I just realized that we no longer... Oh yes, no, the flashlight still applies because we're just redrawing. So, sorry, I thought, let me just think about this. I used the final flashlight piece, which reduces the shroud to 2. I failed, but then I've redrawn. It's not like another turn. So I've succeeded. Woohoo! So we lose that, but we get the clue, which means Wendy now has 2 victory points. She is a superstar. That is brilliant. So here we go. We had 4 turns. We brought out it was quite exciting, really. We brought out the flashlight. We then, first time we tried to investigate with the flashlight, we failed. Sorry, the first time. Second time, we succeeded. And then the third time, we failed, but we brought out the scavenging, so we threw a card away, we redrew, and we succeeded. We got the 2 clues. So we have all of the clues. We've got all of the victory points. So Roland's, and that's only in turn 6. So Roland's position at the top of the league table is starting to look shaky. Roland may get toppled by the mighty Wendy Adams. Let's see how we go. So things are looking good. Things are looking good. We've still only got 3 here. We've got 4 more turns to get get stuff done. So we're well ahead of the clock. Things have gone really well. This scenario has gone really well. So as long as we don't get some awful cards like Rotting Remains, that's probably the card I'm worried about the most now. Let's see how we go. So that's our turn. That was our investigation phase. I keep doing that. I keep forgetting to click it over. Excuse me. Enema Phase. The enemas can't move, so they're just sitting there. Upkeep Phase. We get a Derringer. So there we go. Derringer's not great. I mean, spend an ammo, you fight, you get +2. If you succeed by 2 or more, you do 1 damage. So it's kind of okay. Kind of. And it costs 3 to bring out, so it's not, it's quite pricey as well. So, yes, anyway. That's all right. We're getting our fights. We've got backstabs and fights and lots of things like that. So if we can get over to Lita Chandler and parley her successfully, then things might be quite good. Yes. Okay. So that's the upkeep phase. So we move into the Mythos phase, and now we've got 4 on 7, so we've still got some time. Let's see what the next encounter deck says. And it's frozen in fear. Apparently Even though there are no ghouls where we are, we're here in the cellar with nothing. Suddenly, inexplicably, we are frozen in fear. So, move, fight, and evade, cost 2 actions, and we then just need to test. Not too bad. I mean, we've got Leo DeLuca, so we get an extra turn anyway, but, you know, it's not the... just slows us down. And you know what, in the gathering, you're never moving that much, so it's not a movement problem, it's more of a fighting and evasion problem anyway. But there we are, that's where it is. So there we go. So we've got a couple of things we need to do now. So we're here, we are in the we're in the cellar. We need to move to the hallway, because we need to move back to the hallway and then indeed, you know, trigger the ghoul priest. We know we've got to do that. I don't want to be triggering any ghoul priests with a ghoul minion there. So I'm thinking I have a choice. I can bring out the old Baseball Bat. No, that goes +2 for attack and it deals +1 damage. So it's very, very, you know, it's nice, and it does what it's supposed to do. The problem with the Derringer is that you only get +1 damage if you succeed by 2 or more. So the Derringer is kind of crap from that perspective. So what I'm going to do is for my first turn, I'm going to spend 2, and I'm going to bring out the Baseball Bat. That's the first thing, so that we have something to deal with the Ghoul minion. And we can always, I guess, if we do end up finding ourselves drawing a skull or a thingy symbol, we can, what's it called, tentacle symbol, we can always redraw if we need to. So that's that. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. The second thing we're going to do is we are going to move to the hallway, which means, hold on, what did we do first? No, that didn't cost 2 actions to do that, but moving to the hallway does. So that took us 2 actions. First time you perform one of the following actions each round, it costs an additional action. It's one of the following actions, so it means if you move and then fight, you're not taking up 4. It just costs 2 the first time. Yeah. So we're now here in the hallway, and I'm sorry, I should know this, but I just want to just pause here and just double check Frozen in Fear, because I'm assuming if you move and it takes 2 actions, you can then fight or evade for 1 action. That's not another 2 actions. I should know this, but I just want to double check that that's the case. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to pause here for a moment and then I'll be straight back. Welcome back, everybody. I knew that was the way that Frozen in Fear worked, but it's one of those things where it plays on your mind like, have I been playing it wrong the whole time? Indeed, no. 2 actions to move up. So we spent an action bringing out the baseball bat, then we spent 2 actions moving up, and then we have a final action. We can fight or evade the good old ghoul minion. So now that I've got this trusty baseball bat in play, we're going to smash this ghoul minion around the head, I think. I think that's what we'll do, because it's only got a fight of 2, and we, if we use the baseball bat, get +2, so that gives us a fight of 3. And then we could pitch something in as well. So yes, what would we pitch in as well? I'm not a big fan. Oh, well, Yes. Let's pitch in Overpower. Here we go. So, what have we got? We're a fight of 1, plus the baseball bat, gives us 3, 5 with Overpower. And we draw a card for it, which is awesome. And it's a 2, so we've got a 5 versus a 2. 5 versus 2, so -3 or better. Chaos Bag says -1. It's always weird when it does that, when it's already at -1 and you're going, oh, it's changed. So yes, that succeeded. We baseball batted the Ghoul minion, and so we did plenty of damage. We've still got the baseball bat, we haven't lost it. That goes into the discard pile. We draw another card and we get, look what I found. Discover 2 clues at your location. Now, crowd goes, because we don't need any more clues, but that's fine because we need to parley with Lita Chandler. So that's perfect. It's just what we need. Awesome. So here we are. We baseball batted the ghoul. Right. So that's all done. End of our turn, I think. At the end of our turn, we test 3. 3 versus 4. I'm not going to pitch anything in here. We're just going to do straight up 3 versus 4 on Frozen in Fear. Chaos Bag says -1. So that's fine. We've gotten rid of it. Hooray! Wow, Wendy is just on fire. Man, she's unstoppable. So we got rid of that. Now, at the end of when the round ends. So we're not at the end of the round yet, but we are going to trigger the Ghoul Priest, and we're going to get that Lita Chandler. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Yes, we're going to get Lita. Lita is going to be part of this. I mean, we'll lose Leo in the process, but we'll get Lita on board because we're going to need that. So, yes. Right. Okay. Great. Let's move forward. Did it again. We've done the investigation phase. Oh, I keep doing that. Enemy phase. There are no. Well, the enemy is there, not moving. So we move into the good old upkeep phase, and we get the knife, which will be great. But unfortunately, we've got a baseball bat, so the knife will need to wait or stay where it is at the moment. Yes, we're a little bit resource light, though, I have to say. We've only got 2 resources, which is fine for that. Backstab requires 3. And the knife requires 1. So we don't have enough resources for the backstab at the moment. So we have a choice here. It's the upkeep phase. We've gotten all our bits and pieces. We could trigger and bring out the Ghoul Priest. He's waiting. Ghoulie is waiting to come on board. Or we could go another round, risk it, take another round, risk it for a biscuit, and get more cards, more resources instead. Yes. What do we do? So we're going to have to evade the Ghoul Priest, and we've kind of only got 2 cards which allow for evasion. This one, skill test is successful. Or we pitch in that and that, but I really want to keep the backstab. And then in terms of the parley, we have, yes, we've got cards to parlay with, so we've got those. And then really then it's about then backstabbing and bashing the Ghoul Priest. So I feel like from a card perspective, we could do with a little bit of more things, to be honest. And once a Ghoul Priest is there, there's not a lot of opportunity. So I'm feeling like we should take a bit more time if we're going to do everything properly. However, let's see what comes up in the encounter deck. So the Mythos Phase, we've now got 5. So things are moving apace. Let's see what the encounter deck has for us. It's another Frozen in Fear. That's fine. Except having a Frozen in Fear when you're trying to bash up the Ghoul Priest is not ideal, so it would be good to get rid of that, to be honest. But it's not a bad card to get. So the question is now, that's the Mythos Phase. I've moved it on to the Investigation Phase. I did that. So the question is now, it's turn 8. We're here in the hallway. Assuming we don't get the Ancient Evils, we've still got 2 more turns before it clicks over. And it's not the end of the world if it clicks over, but it means then the ghouls start moving. And so we're kind of at a crossroads here. We either play conservatively and we get more cards and try and get rid of the Frozen in Fear, or we go to hell with it and we can't bring out the Ghoul Priest at the end anyway. So actually, we need to do this turn anyway. So I just realised, of course, you can't spend the clues until the end of the round anyway. So if we were going to do it, would have done it last round. We haven't, so we will spend them at the end of this round. So let's do our phase. So here we are, Investigation Phase. What are we going to do? I'm going to first of all gain a resource or more resources. So we now have 3 resources, so at least we can play Backstab if we need to. So that's the first thing I'm doing. The second thing I'm going to do is bring out another. We get the Stray Cat. Automatically evade. Nice. Okay, so that's a good card to get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got 7 cards in our hand. So if we bring out an 8th card, and then we go through upkeep, we're going to have to discard something, but we may need it for the Frozen in Fear anyway. So we may need to discard something anyway. So for my next piece, I'm going to draw another card, and I know there's a danger we might get the wings. There we go. We got 2 knives now. Okay. So, and for my last action, I'm going to draw another resource. So that's all of our. Hello. Yeah, there's all of our resources. Okay, that's all of our actions. Yes. So let's get rid of this Frozen in Fear. It's a 3. Don't really have any heady things, willpower things to throw in. Well, that's not true. I could throw in Unexpected Courage. No way, Josie. No way am I going to do that. So let's see how we go on the Chaos Bag. If we do a crappy draw, we'll draw again. So Chaos Bag for Frozen in Fear says, wow, Elder Sign. Fantastic. We succeed. Frozen in Fear is gone. So we've got rid of Frozen in Fear. Done all of that. So we're in a really good spot. We've got lots and lots and lots of cards. Okay. So, Enema Phase, Ghoul Minion sits there with the bar fridge doing nothing. Upkeep Phase, oh yes, we have to throw something out. So what did we get? We got a sneak attack. So what do we want to throw away? I think think the knife. So we threw away the knife. I think we'll be fine. So there we go. It's the upkeep phase. We've got no resources. We've now got 5 resources. It is now time to play 3 clues. 1, 2, 3. Yep. When the round ends, requisite number of clues to advance. Boom. It's all happening now. Using the barrel from the attic, you carry ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice, then hisses and fades. The barrier blocking the passage to the parlour has vanished. Reveal the parlour. Does that mean... Doesn't mean we... Is the parlour actually flipped? I don't know whether... Because I don't never flip it until we move into it. So I'm never sure whether it's flipped or not. But anyway, set aside Lita Chandler into the parlour. And spawn the ghoul priest in the hallway. Hello, everybody! Look at my farts! Anyone want to play Pokemon? Yeah, here's the ghoul priest. Humanoid, monster, ghoul, and elite. Hunter and retaliate. A figure in red robes wearing a bone mask. It gibbers and snarls and lights its own farts before leaping to attack. There we go. So there we go. That's gone. And here we are. What have you done? A woman with a torch stands in your parlour, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams, furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you, and a creature wearing robes and a deer skull mask lights his farts and tears through the wall, advancing towards you. Right, so we basically got to get rid of this ghoul priest or ghoulie to his mates. So that's going to be the order of the day. 4 fight, 4 evasion, 5 health. Yes. So, okay. Mythos Phase clicks to 6. There we go. And now it's encounter time. So the Chaos Bag says, encounter deck says, okay. Rotting Remains. Okay, Rotting Remains. Test 3. For each point you fail by, take a horror. We could potentially end up with 3 horror, which we can't do. That would mean we would lose Leo. We're going to lose Leo anyway. If we get Lita on board, we're going to lose Leo anyway. But, you know, we want to maximize our 4 turns for as long as possible. The problem is there is no willpower cards here at all. So it's a 3 versus a 4. The only thing we could do is throw in the unexpected courage. Oh, that courage was unexpected. Yes, because it could get really dicey. What to do? So we can always throw a card away to draw again, but the problem is that it's a 3 versus a 4, so we need a -1 or better. If we were going to throw a card away, we would probably throw away, I don't know what we would throw away. I don't really want to throw any of these away. Oh, Rotting Remains. Rotting Remains. This is where things get really dicey. So, look, we can take some horror. It's only a worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, we would just throw in a card anyway. But I want to keep Unexpected Courage because it can be used for all kinds of things. So I think the best thing to do is let's just draw because we might be fine. So it's a 4 versus a 3, -1 or better. Chaos Bag says, see, what were we worrying about? -1. So we succeeded. So the whole thing was storm in a teacup. Rotting remains. Wendy doesn't care. Rotting remains. Don't make me laugh. Right. So there we go. That was all. That was all. A whole lot of angst for nothing. Right. So there we go. Okay. Investigation phase. 4 actions. Now, here we are with the priest. Now, Ghoul priest. We have 2 choices. We could just try and bash him up. Like literally, we could just go to town on him. We've got the baseball bat, and that would do 2 damage, and we could take him out actually in 2 or 3 turns. However, to do that with a fight of 1, even with the baseball bat, that would give us a fight of 3. He's a 4. Then we would have to start throwing in that, or we could evade him and then deal 2 damage to him. So there's a number of things we could actually do. Because we could evade him with a 4 versus a 4, so we could evade him, say 6. And once he's evaded, we could then do 2 damage. We could then do what would be so we could then do another 3. So I don't think we need Lita. I really don't think we need her, to be honest, because we could evade him. So the one thing is we could just kill him as long as the baseball bat holds up. So that's the biggest kind of concern, is if the baseball bat. The other thing, he has retaliate, and if he retaliates, we could take some retaliation, so we can take some. The other thing is to basically use survival instinct and move directly to the parlor and get Lita. So we could do that, and then Lita gives us, +1 attack and +1 damage. So then basically we've got 3, and we're doing 3, so 3 and 3. So we're really cooking with gas then. Yes, because if the baseball bat breaks or something, whereas if we've got Lita on board, things are much more likely to go. Okay, the problem is that we've got Lita on board, he's going to leap, he's going to move then, because then if we don't move back, so we evade, we move, we parlay, then we would have to move back or stay there, then he moves and then he bashes us. Plus we're at 6 here, so this is going to tip over. And then what's going to happen is he's going to move down. So the problem is that there's this thing where we evade. Oh, but then we would move, so we would be here. That would be 1 turn. Parley, as long as that succeeds, we'd have Lita. Then we'd move back, and then we would attack in some way. But then we are going to take damage, some damage, but Lita can do it. I think I'm inclined to do that. I think I'm going to try and do that. So what I'm going to do is, for the first action, I'm going to bring out the survival instinct, because it would be good if, it would be good to have her when we do the next round, which will be Midnight Masks. It would be good to have Lita as well. Plus it could put her at the top of the... So bring out the survival instinct. So that gives us a 5 versus the 4 for the Ghoul Priest. And I think we put in the Stray Cat, so that gives us 6. So we've now got a 6 versus a 4, the Ghoul Priest. So I'm inclined, I think 6 versus 4 minus 2 or better. I'm happy with that. Let's go with that. 6 versus 4. Chaos Bag says a skull. Just making sure. So that's successful. So these go into here. We evade the Ghoul Priest. It's like, where's she gone? And because we use Survival Instinct, you disengage from each other enemy, move to a connecting location. So we immediately move to here, which means this flips. There's no, it's going to resign. This is too much for me. Nah. When Lita Chandler is not controlled, parley test 4 if you succeed. Okay, so we're going to parley. So the second thing we will do is parley Lita Chandler. So she is a test 4. We are a 3. So here we go. That gives us a 5. So that gives us a 5 versus 4. Is that right? 5 versus 4, yeah. So, do we make it a 7 versus 4? Or do we risk it, and then if we have to throw something out, we'll throw out the knife? Yeah, let's go. So it's a 5 versus 4. Chaos Bag says 0. Oh, just Wendy is just on fire. So here we go. Lita Chandler is now in place, which means, didn't think about that, did you? Because if you lose, we lose, yes, we lose Leo, which means we lose an action. So that means we lose an action. Okay, that's all right. We've got Lita Chandler in place. So I think we're now cooking with gas. Forgot about that. We lose a go. So do we stay in the parlour, or do we move back to the hallway? I think we move back to the hallway. We don't want to be wasting time moving around, so we move back to the hallway. Whoops. Get hidden by the hallway. So we move back to the hallway. Is there a bring to the front? Bring to front. Here we go. So we're back to the hallway, and we get ready to finish off the Ghoul Priest next turn. Yep. Okay. Enemy phase. No. Okay, Ghoul Priest is back. We get a resource. We've got lots of resources. We get a flashlight, which is useless. Okay, we're ready to roll. This is getting to the really pointy end now. Yes, we move into the... oh, right, this is triggered. Okay, let's flip it. A feral beast, roughly humanoid, with canine cast and hooves for feet, tears through the ground in front of you. Below the floor, you can see vast tunnels beneath your house. Fiendish howling echoes from beneath the underground caverns. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Discard cards from the top until a ghoul enemy is discarded. Okay, so we shuffle into the encounter deck. Yes. No. Right, and we draw until a ghoul enemy is discarded. Oh, no. No. Yes, so we get a ghoul minion. Okay. All right. Those are discarded. Okay, so there we go. They're getting out. Craze Howl. Excuse me. You hear a crazed howl outside, and suddenly all the creatures turn their attention to that sound. They rush to escape the house, breaking down doors and clawing everything in their way. At the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged ghoul enemy moves one location towards the parlor. There is one. So the thing is, at the end of the phase, I was going to move down. And after the end of the round, place one doom on this agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway or parlor. Okay, so shit's getting real. It's time to take some action. It's clobbering time. Let's get rid of this ghoul priest. I don't care about this ghoul minion. Let's get rid of this ghoul priest. We've got to do him 5 points of damage in 3 turns. No longer got the other one. So actions. We've got 3 turns to do that. So we're in the Mythos phase. We haven't drawn the encounter deck yet though. Nearly missed that one. We draw the encounter deck and we get, oh no, dissonant voices. We cannot play assets or events. Okay, we can't play assets or events, so we cannot play sneak attack. Sneak attack can't be played. We can't play backstab. So basically we can't play them, but we can use their skill pips. So we can't backstab and we can't exhaust. So that was a really, really nasty card to get at that time, because that basically means that we have to basically use other ways of dealing with the ghoul priest, i.e. bashing the ghoul priest. So we can either evade the ghoul priest and then bash him, or we can just bash the ghoul priest. I think my preference is to go for the bashing, because of all the cards to get, that was a really, really nasty card to get at that time. So anyway, that's the way it goes. So let's move on to the investigation phase. We have 3 actions. Let's use our 3 actions to bash the ghoul priest. So each investigator gets +1 for each monster enemy. They are both monsters. Okay, so the ghoul priest, we get +1 from Lita Chandler, which gives us 2. Plus, if we use the baseball bat, we get +2. So we get +3. So we're at 4. And the ghoul priest is at 4. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make that a 6. I'm going to make that a 6 versus a 4. Let's go ahead and draw from everybody's favorite, the Chaos Bag. And Chaos Bag says -2, 6 versus 4. Bam! Hit. So we do 1 point plus another point from Lita plus another point from the baseball bat. We do 3 points of damage. No, not doom. Damage. Wow, 3 points of damage. Yes. Whew. Okay. He's nearly dead. That was our first go. Second go, yeah, let's go for it. What's the point? So again, we're at a base of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 with the baseball bat. 5, going to throw in the Derringer. 6, going to throw in the knife. 7, going to throw in the backstab. That's everything. 7 versus 4. And we can redraw again. So we would have to be massively unlucky, because basically we would have to draw and fail twice to do this. You still do damage with the baseball bat, disc after the attack resolves. So basically, if we do this, the game is over. In turn 10, have we killed the Ghoul Priest? Here we go. It's a, what was it again? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 versus 4 for the Ghoul Priest. Chaos Bag says, oh, Chaos Bag says 0. The Ghoul Priest falls, crumples to the ground, dead. Lita Chandler says, told you so, you should have had me on board before. There we go. So the Ghoul Priest dies. Advance. Oh, what am I doing? Here we go. When the rogue creature falls, a fiendish swarm burrows back into the ground and the chaos of the house quiets. But the stranger in your parlour doesn't seem relieved. You broke my seal, and that was set to trap the ghouls within. She raises her torch. Now we must take more direct measures and burn this hell pit to the ground. So we have a decision. Do we burn this place down or not? The hell pit's my home? Well, anyway, personally, can't imagine that a street urchin owns this house. Like to know what you think. I think she'd probably let it burn to the ground. But anyway, very interested to hear what you think. So there we go. Turn 10, we managed to get 2, 3, 4 victory points, which would give us 6 experience points, I imagine, all up, which is a fantastic achievement for Wendy. It was she did fantastically well. Much better than we've seen, particularly Daisy do. She did so well. It was a great round. We also, first time Lita Chandler actually was used, and that made a really big difference. Made it very easy to kill the Ghoul Priest in that way. Having Leo DeLuca on board for most of the game was super helpful for all those extra actions that we had. So that's it for Wendy and the Investigator Games and the Gathering. I will put her on the league table so you can see the league table at the after this particular play finishes at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. When I started this off, I really imagined I'd just be talking to myself all the time. So everyone who's watched and has been watching and has liked and subscribed, I really do appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying me playing the Investigator Games on Octagon. Please also follow me on Twitter or Facebook and Google. There are links with this video as well. And next week we play the 5th inaugural Investigator in Arkham Horror, the card game. Everybody's favourite waitress and magic user Agnes. I like Agnes very much. I'm looking forward to doing the Gathering with Agnes as well. Until that time, I'm Krabby Terror 8. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.